Good evening, CAFS crew. Hope you guys are really well. Welcome to tonight's CAFS PL coming from all the way down at Gerringong. So as many of you guys know, I live up at Kilcare, which is the central coast of New South Wales. Tonight I'm coming to you from the beautiful Gerringong. I'm down here for a girls' weekend. So thanks so much for joining me tonight for our last session around the IRP and what you can do more strategically to link your IRP to what you're doing in class. Hey, Jules, nice to hear from you. And Julie is one of our beautiful CAFS teachers who, in my first cohort, actually joined the IRP course. So, Jules, I would love to hear what some big transformations that you've had inside the IRP course when you started it 2 years ago, because we can kind of stay stuck and we can kind of keep going along our merry way and having that stress and that burnout and feeling that, I suppose, that anxiety kind of rising a little bit as we enter term 4, or we can make a change. We can actually change the way we do things within the IRP. I want you guys to have a really good look at what you're doing at the moment with your IRP. We have 2 weeks to go before the kids, we go on holidays, and then you come back to term 4. Now, many of us do the IRP in term 4, and I know it's hectic. I know it's really hard to have that content. You need to teach the kids the content around research methodologies. It's 25% of our course time. It's 25% of our HSC. We also have this looming assessment task that we do with the kids, and that's worth up to 20% of our kids' school-based assessment. Now, even if we make it worth 10%, 15%, or 20%, it's still a significant chunk of the kids' HSC. So we kind of want to do it justice, but we also don't want to overwhelm our kids. So tonight I'm really talking about what we can do to strip it right back and really get back to the core of what the IRP is about. I would love to hear you guys and tonight ask any questions that you do have about the IRP, the way I've approached it, my change to what I used to do. Remember that big mountain of IRPs that used to sit in my office, to moving away from that and having only a small percentage of what the kids were actually handing in and just assessing tiny pieces of their research project. So as you guys have heard over the last couple of weeks, you need to start to work more strategically with what we do. So rather than having the kids hand in every single part of that process, I'm talking about the plan, the diary, the product, from, all the way from introduction, all the way down to the appendix. We shouldn't be doing it so much with the kids. We need to really strip it right back and just assess the kids on those 2 main focuses. And that is our outcomes, outcome 4.1 and outcome 4.2. These are the things that are the guiding principles behind that particular part of the syllabus. That's what drives us. We need to use those as guidance to work out what we have to assess in the IRP itself. So I've had lots of questions from you guys over the last couple of weeks about what this actually looks like on the ground in class. So as I mentioned last night, we will be facilitating this process as a teacher. You're acting as the teacher, as the head researcher in your CAFS crew, in your CAFS class, and you're going to facilitate this research process with your students. You might have the kids set up in research teams, hopefully based around skills, abilities, their knowledge and understanding, maybe some personalities in there so you don't have too many clashes happening within the kids, within the class. And you're like the head researcher. This really emulates what happens in the real world around research. You're not just a researcher by yourself, you're actually doing it as a team. So you're in there as a head researcher working with the kids on that. Now, what it really looks like, if we would kind of to peer into a classroom, it would be around actually getting the kids to do smaller tasks with each other. So they might be in like groups of 3 or 4 and getting the kids to work on a particular task. It might be, okay, you guys are over here, you're our questionnaires team. You guys are going to start to formulate some questions that we would create in our questionnaire. You're going to pilot that. You're going to do a bit of a test with some people, maybe around school with those connections. And then they would be the ones who actually go out and physically do that primary research. They would start to hand out those questionnaires, maybe on paper. They might start to send them out to people. They might just decide to send a link to everyone in the class. That's what it looks like on the ground in the teacher-facilitated approach. And Jules has just popped in our comment on Instagram, and she said, teacher-facilitated group project is a must. Just wrote my new task for term 4, and students hand in analysis and a methodology report. And that's been my biggest recommendation to you. Strip it right back, get back to the basics. 4.1, 4.2 are the outcomes, and we should really be focusing on that rather than getting the kids to do an introduction, getting them to do acknowledgements, putting like 1 or 2 marks assigned to that, getting the kids to do a literature review. A literature review is great if our kids are going to university, but it is so time consuming. The kids spend so much time finding articles, going through them, analysing, reviewing them, and then they often find it really difficult to bring all of that together and condense it into, that 1 to 3 pages worth of a review of that literature. So really getting back to the crux of what that assessment is. And it's really, like Jules said, it's really about that research. So the methodologies, what methods are you using to conduct your research on? So what the kids would essentially be doing is saying, well, okay, we conducted research on this, and this. This is how we did it. We used questionnaires. We used interviews for this. This is how many. This is our sample size. This is maybe linked to reliability and validity. This is mentioning things like bias. So rather than it being so disjointed and the kids just kind of getting marks for, pointless marks, a tick and a flick, saving you guys, so much more time, just stripping it right back and going back to those outcomes. So the first one is about methodologies, actually getting the kids to link to methodologies, and that has a great connection to what they do in the HSC to make that strong connection to HSC skills and content. The next part that you might assess, as Jules said, hey Renee, nice to see you. Hey Gemines, you might actually go back to your analysis. So analysing your data, you would get the results together. Okay, here's our class results. Here's our graphs. Not get the kids to actually hand draw the graphs. Google Forms then creates our Google Sheet, which then we can create graphs from that. Save time. Use the technology that we have at our disposal to make so much, so many time-saving tricks there. So using that data, having our analysis, our discussion. So this is what the data says. Let's have a bit of a discussion around that data. This is what we're kind of gleaning from that data. Okay, what's our firm conclusion on what we've researched? And then possibly creating some recommendations around what you guys have found out, rather than getting the kids to do every single section and then handing that in and then having to, mark this big, massive document. I'm not sure about you guys. I remember back in the day, like my pile would be giant. The kids would race down to Officeworks or they'd race down to local print company and get it printed and get it bound and be so stressed out at the last minute. And possibly even helping my younger sister do her IRP at the very last minute. It's not authentic. It's not, it's not allowing the kids to feel confident. It's getting them to feel so stressed and so uncomfortable about doing this process. So Jules has just popped in the chat as well. Focus on what will help them in the long run, the long term, which is the HSC. And I say that to you guys. Focus on the end game. For us, it's the HSC. Like, from a pedagogy, from like an educational perspective, the HSC isn't the end of the world. We know that, the HSC isn't the end of the world. There is more to life than the HSC. However, at the time, the kids have this assessment task that they have to do. Let's help them with it. Let's give them some more confidence. Let's make their life a bit easier. Let's really kind of connect, what we're doing in class to the actual content and make that really meaningful for the kids so they see it. When they see a HSC style question in the exam, in a trial, whatever they're doing for preparation, they really can apply their understanding to that. My sister's commenting saying that maybe that's why she got a band 6 in CAFS. It is a bit of a balance. You have to, know the content, but you also have to be able to apply that as well. And the IRP is a perfect way to do that. So many times that we have the process, the product, but we forget about the content that goes with that. And I think that's what Jules, is being strong around that. If we want to get our kids to get to that finish line, to actually really achieve, we want that content to be so strong, but it also helps with that product as well. So stripping it right back and literally, I reckon cutting your marking by, 3/4. You're marking now the methodologies, maybe 1 or 2 pages, possibly. The kids are justifying, really going back to that outcome, justifying their research. You're also then able to look at discussion, conclusion, and analysis of results, and possibly recommendations that they might make for future study. So that's it. Like, you don't have to assess every single section. No diary, no plan, no acknowledgements, no bibliography, no literature review. You're literally stripping it right back. And I think it just, takes a whole weight off the kids' shoulders, but also for you guys. Instead of sitting there and waiting for that marking to be done by some miraculous CAFS fairy in the Christmas holidays when everyone else is at the beach or on holidays enjoying themselves, you actually get to do it before the end of term. You get to get it out of the way and the kids get the feedback straight away. So you guys have heard me talk about it so far over the last 2 weeks. Strategic Approaches to the IRP was the very first course I created inside the Learning Network. And it blew me away when I had 10 teachers join, 20, 30, 40, 50, 80. And, in that first year, I had 150 teachers take strategic approaches to the IRP. So back in 2020, in July, when I left the classroom, I thought, oh my gosh, this is obviously something people need and want. But you're not sure. You're not sure what it looks like. You're not sure, what it's going to look like on the ground. And you may also be a little bit nervous about what this process looks like in your CAFS classroom. And you might also have no idea where to start. So Strategic Approaches to the IRP literally takes you through every single lesson of term 4 pretty much, and what you should be doing to help the kids work towards that IRP. All the scaffolds, the templates, the resources, the teaching and learning activities to actually embed the content alongside the actual product itself, the process, is inside Strategic Approaches to the IRP. You also get access to what you can kind of do to really step up the kids' game in terms of exam preparation questions. And look, as Jules mentioned, and Julie was one of my beautiful CAFS teachers in my first cohort through, and if you have any questions about the IRP, I'm pretty sure she'd love to answer them. But Julie mentioned that this process enabled her kids to really understand the content so much better. Her HSC results improved. And I feel so proud of Jules because her results last year were amazing, absolutely phenomenal. I think Julie got, correct me if I'm wrong, Jules, but I think there was 9 Band 6s in her CAFS class. And that was a true connection, not just with what Julie was doing with the IRP, but making that strategy, making that application of the content really come to life rather than having those two things that are happening still in CAFS classrooms in silo. You might teach, a bit of content. You then might do a bit of IRP, and there's no clear distinction. Inside Strategic Approaches to the IRP, it's the only course in New South Wales that shows you how to do this. And if you're still feeling kind of a bit nervous or not sure what it looks like, there's 8 modules inside of it, as well as 3 bonuses. The 3 bonuses include exam preparation questions to help you guys really see what it looks like and how you can help your kids unpack the HSC, really maximize their marks in research methodology. Because we know this is one aspect of the course they bomb out on every single year. And I've taught CAFS since 2004, really long time, and I've worked with you guys across New South Wales for the best part of 12 years. And the kids still don't nail that content. And I've taught a lot of kids and I've presented to a lot of kids. They still don't nail it. You also get access to a bonus around, what's our second bonus? Our second bonus is our private Facebook group. So you get access to me, to a coach and mentor. You get to ask as many questions as you want around the IRP, but you also have everything you need to successfully facilitate this IRP finally. So doors are open and they're closed tomorrow. I open this up to everyone for once a year, so one time a year, and doors close tomorrow. So if you're thinking about joining us inside Strategic Approaches to the IRP, grab the paperwork that you need tomorrow, head down to your SAM and say, all right, here's the link. Here's what I really want to be a part of. Your head teacher, your deputy. It is a 12-hour NESA registered course, so you'll get 12 NESA registered hours to be part of this course that really will kind of give you everything, the framework that you need to support your CAFS kids finally in facilitating this process. So over the next 24 hours, please ask any questions you do have about the IRP course. As I mentioned before, we've had over 250 CAFS teachers join our course, and the last couple of weeks we've had so many more of you guys join because you're like, okay, I see it, I want it, and I know that's going to make a huge impact. So please let me know if you do have any questions, any last minute questions you do have for me. send them my way, either by Facebook or Instagram. So the learnnet.com/IRP is where you want to go. Grab the link, grab the details that you need. And look, I'm so excited to be supporting you guys inside this course. Join me, as well as 250 teachers across New South Wales, to work so much more strategically with the IRP. The extra bonus that I've offered to you guys, and we've had about 6 or 7 teachers sign up to this, is tacking on my CAFS membership. So far we've had over 75 teachers join us inside the CAFS Collective. So if you join the IRP course, it's $397 by itself. If you'd like to join my membership to be supported by 75 other CAFS teachers plus me, then it's an extra $200. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. $200 to have me as your coach and mentor. I think it's worth it, but also to have the support of lots of teachers across New South Wales. So $597 for the course plus the membership. The membership on its own is $450, and the membership does go for 12 months. So again, if you have any questions, reach out, send me a DM, or ask away, because I'd love to support you in strategic approaches to the IRP. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me over the last 2 weeks. I've really loved delivering so much more content and learning with you guys. It's been awesome. Jules has just said worth doing the course if you are experienced or not. So Julie has over 12 years of community and family studies experience. And I'm actually going to share one of your videos tomorrow, Jules. So keep an eye out for that. But Julie is a phenomenal teacher. And look, it doesn't matter where you are on your journey, whether you're right at the beginning, you've never taught CAFS before. Maybe you've been kind of, you've been in it for a little while. You're experienced, you've been maybe doing it for like 8 years or so, or you're super experienced. You just want a better way to do things. So again, thank you so much for joining me over the last couple of weeks. And a huge welcome to all the beautiful teachers who have joined us inside the strategic approaches to the IRP. I can't wait for you guys to dive in, and all of your feedback so far. Those of you guys who have logged into the portal, checked it out, but also the CAFS teachers who have joined us inside the CAFS Collective. Just want to say thank you again. Thank you so much for joining me over the next couple of weeks and into term 4. I'm going to keep up this professional learning for you guys, both on Facebook and Instagram, to give you bite-sized bits in the lead up to the HSC. So again, any questions about the IRP, head my way, and thanks again for joining. Thanks so much, crew. Have a great evening. Thanks, guys.